I'm Ryan. I play guitar in Enigma.
My name is Byron Leon. I play guitars and I do some of the programming work for Enigma.
I'm Dan Saltzman and I play bass.
Harley Blanford. I play drums.
I'm Petter. I do the vocals. I'm the frontman for the band.
And so Byron and I, we had actually contacted, the first member that joined the band was, I believe, Dan. We contacted Johan from Seeing the Sky. We had actually contacted him and see if he wanted to join the band, but Johan was pretty busy with Seeing the Sky. But he suggested Dan, and he recommended him to us and said he's an awesome bass player. He played in a few bands, and I said, sure, let's hit him up. And so Dan actually sent us a tryout video of him playing, I believe it was a Violin Bliss. And we saw the video and we immediately said, you know, this guy's awesome. Let's have him come in and do a live jam. So he came over to my house with me and Byron, and we practiced there, and we immediately knew, like, this guy, he's our bass player. So we told him, like, dude, you want to join our band? He's like, yeah, dude, I'm down. So, and then from then we recruited Harley. We found Harley through mutual friends in Sorrow. And then Harley had been in a band previously, a metalcore band called Bring Down the Earth years ago. And so we knew this guy had drum experience. And we're like, let's hit him up. I don't think he's in a band right now. So we asked Harley if he wanted to try out, and he did. And pretty soon we had our fourth member of the band. You know, eventually we decided to just go with Petter, because we felt that Petter, after hearing his vocals, he had the power, he had the stamina for them, and he had the drive. That was like the big thing, was the drive that he brought to the band, and we knew like he was gonna, you know, be as good of a frontman as we had hoped, and he has been ever since.
Really young, probably like 11, 12.
I bought a drum set going into like freshman year of high school, so I was like 13 or 14.
I was 13 or so, maybe even younger actually.
Listening to music 5 years old, I think actively.
I was about 12 years old.
It's kind of a crazy progression. It went like all kinds of directions. Like, the rest of the more than just metal, but as far as the metal, it went from like Pantera to, you know, lighter, heavy metal bands like I don't know, Killswitch Engage. Static X was a big one in the beginning. Let's see, what else did I listen to back then? I liked Stained a lot. They were like super depressing and super heavy at the same time. I was all into that shit. Slipknot. It's funny, today I'm listening to like some super heavy stuff. Like I like Dying Fetus, and like bands like Disgorge and Devourment, you know, going in techie directions as well. But it's funny because around when I was like 15, 16, and you know, getting into high school, like the first time I really got close to death metal, it was Dying Fetus. I remember my first thought was like, why is this asshole burping in a microphone? Like, it's terrible, what the fuck? And here I am burping in a microphone, so.
Good question. I think at that stage, just starting to get like heavier and heavier, and just like wanting more of just the deep, dark, gritty sound. Like when you get into, you know, you're in high school and you're first listening to bands like, I don't know, Killswitch Engage, or sorry, Profanity or no?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Get like Killswitch, and it's like catchy but also really heavy, and then you go deeper and deeper. Eventually you're at Meshuggah and Cannibal Corpse, and it doesn't get heavy enough, you know. So it just kind of like is a gradual slip of just you're just diving further into hell for brutality.
Well, my primary inspiration now, I would say, would be Muhammad from Necrophagist. He's a big influence on my playing style. He inspired me to start playing and learning arpeggios on the guitar. Just when I heard the song Stab Wound off of the album Epitaph, I still remember I was watching TV and we had Dish Network, and when you have Dish Network you get like a subscription to like all these music channels, and one of them was the death metal channel. And I was bored. I was like, I'm gonna scroll through the death metal channel and see like what's playing on there. And I changed the channel, and it was playing Stab Wound. And the song had just started, and I thought, man, this is a fucking sick riff that they're playing. And then all of a sudden it goes into the first like arpeggio, like, and I was like, what the hell is that? Like, how do you do that on guitar? And I just was like, you know, you get that feeling, like butterflies in your stomach, like you get goosebumps on your arms. You're like, fuck, I've never heard anything like that before played on a guitar. And so immediately I went over to my computer and I Google searched Necrophagist and Epitaph, and immediately I downloaded the album. And yeah, from then on I made it a point to learn that style of playing. And so I would say Muhammad is, and that band as a whole is a huge influence on my playing.
I thought it was cool. It was like more esoteric than playing guitar, which it seems like everyone like around that time is like, oh yeah, I play guitar. It's like, dude, like, you're not cool, okay? I'm cool. I play bass. You know. It just is, I think it was more gratifying, and again, liking that heavier kind of like gratifying, rumbling kind of feel, and the tone of bass players like Flea and whatever the dude's name from Rage Against the Machine. Those two bands really influenced me to want to play bass specifically, and then to start, playing music with my friends.
I was into like classic rock, the AC/DC and Metallica mainly. Started getting into like System of a Down, and then Slipknot, and then moved on and on and on.
You wanted something harder?
Yeah,
Cool.
It was like Dan was saying, always trying to chase that heavy.
I started listening to Korn. They showed like Freak on the Leash. That was like an exciting song for me. From there, I was like, this interesting style of music. It's like these dudes with like dreads and whatnot. It's like interesting. And then from Korn, I started getting more obscure and like starting listening to rap. I guess because like Korn, they had like that whole fusion of like metal and rap, so I guess I started leaning towards rap more. Then from there was I started listening to like Dre, Eminem, and then I started to get tired of rap, and then that's when I started listening back into metal. Slipknot reintroduced me into metal, and then slowly over time I started getting into heavier music from there, and that's basically the gist of my musical origins.
Yeah, so the songwriting process for this band usually begins with some riff that either I or Byron come up with, and we'll tab it out, and we will show each other through Dropbox and send it back and forth and revise it and see what we like and don't like. And we also do write the drums, the bass, and everything. Byron and Petter take care of the vocals, but for the most part, the music is written by myself and Byron, and we sort of just, it all stems from one riff that we throw back and forth at each other, and it grows bigger and bigger into eventually a full piece. And we layer it with leads and solos and choir parts and string parts, and try to make it sound as epic and as melodic and heavy as we can.
That's for Enigma. Like for what it was for Stars Misaligned was that the process. I mean, at first we started out, Ryan and I, we met up. We would be meeting up, and the first song, Of Violent Bliss, we wrote that spontaneously. Like, I saw Ryan, he's playing the first two chords of Violent Bliss. It was an F minor chord followed by an E major chord. And I was like, what if I can mess with that? And that literally became like the first riff in Violent Bliss. But then from there, we started exchanging ideas, and then instead of meeting up together to write up songs, we ended up just basically collaborating, like sending Dropbox, like guitar profiles over Dropbox, and that, like we come like in specifics, like there'd be a riff, and then from that riff, I tend to just listen to see if I can make up any changes in that riff, like any specific notes that I want to hear over another note, even just the arrangement of or the articulation of particular notes. I tend to be very specific with all that stuff when I listen to it. I'm just like, let's try this, let's try that. That's just basically what I do with that.
They tie in pretty deeply to experiences we've all had, different sides to humanity. A lot of them pretty negative on this album. Stars is blind, ignorant obsession, obsessing over the unknown and trying to understand. Vile, I think, is my favorite, not only because it was the most straightforward musically and heaviest. It's just all around my favorite song, lyrically. It's about it's like a nihilistic point of view. It's kind of like questioning the boundaries of good and evil. No human is truly one or the other. We're very conflicted beings, and it brings up the point of how things like that are kind of in the eye of the beholder. Who's to say that the evil things in me are any worse than the evil things in you? Who's to say that? And really, in the end, like it says in the lyrics, the universe will always revolve without you. How important is each individual there? And then enigmatic species is just kind of a ball of masochistic resentment. I think a lot of us that are in this genre of music think very negatively on ourselves as a race and the human beings and the evil things that we do, continue to do, knowing that it's wrong, and then thinking of ourselves as one of that. You come to hate yourself just by definition. And that's pretty much the gist of Enigmatic Species, and it flows very well with the tempo of the song. The fastest, grinding your face off song on the album. And then Circus of Collective is probably our most political song. It's our anti-conformity song. Just fuck it all.
Yes, there is the one section in the very first track, Stars Misaligned, that I still to this day have some trouble with, and that is the sweeping section right after the first chorus. And it's 16th note sweeps on a C minor scale, back up. I'm tapping the whole entire thing, but it's weird because I'm using a combination of tapping and sweeping, and it's such an odd technique for me. And I remember when I wrote that part, I was just like, this is gonna sound really fucking cool if I can get it to sound as clean and articulate as well as I can. And I noticed that when I practice it, sometimes I'm still hearing some strings ringing out. I'm trying to figure out how I can, handle those strings and make sure that they don't ring out anymore. I noticed that when I'm going down the scale, I use more of my left hand to mute the strings. So like if I'm playing notes on my left hand and I want to mute them, I just use like the tips of my fingers. One like this, the very end of my finger is playing the note. Like this part right here is muting the previous note, and so I try to figure out ways to like make sure that they land on the strings properly, so that they mute the string while playing playing the note that I'm currently on in that section of the solo. But when I sweep up, I notice I use more of my right palm to mute the strings. It's a very intricate way of playing and muting strings. I feel it's actually something I want to get more into detail about. Hopefully one day I can make a lesson video discussing proper muting technique, because I'd really like to share that with fellow tech players.
Yeah, that's a big one. Matter of fact, a lot of lines are really fast. There's a lot of words, and it goes for a very long period of time sometimes, especially in Enigmatic Species and Circus of the Collective. I find myself gasping a lot if I'm not really focusing on... Sometimes I focus more on my breathing than I do on actually singing, because the vocal part and the lyrics, it's all muscle memory. But if I forget to breathe, then the entire song goes to shit, because I'll be out of breath, and then I'll be trying to keep up, and my vocal quality will go down, stress will go up, and then in our first few shows that actually caused me to throw up in my mouth, which was pretty shitty. So I had to learn to focus a lot on that, like in the get-go, a lot more than I had anticipated. If you can't breathe, you can't sing.
Yeah, there's this one fill going into a 12/8 part in Enigmatic Species. It always kicks my ass. Always just like half a beat late. And then triplet 16th note blast. Those are weird and wacky for me. I just gotta rethink the way I'm trying to think about playing it, instead of making like the triplet blast. Instead of just waiting for my strong hand to be, always the on, it's because of alternating, and then just gotta make my left hand more comfortable, and my feet as well. So.
So to start, this is our Behringer mixer, which we use to mix our personal inner mixes, as well as run sound out to our personal PA system when we practice. The mixer sits on top of this Roadrunner mixer case, which holds all of our rack gear. We wanted an easily portable solution for going out on the road, so this is what we came up with. This is our Carvin TS102 power amp. We use this to run our Line 6 pod tones out to cabinets to fill in the sound on stage. Ryan and I use Line 6 Pod HD Pros. He uses the original and I use the Pro X. We use similar tones but with different amp sims to distinguish each other on stage. Dan uses an Ampeg SVT7 Pro as his bass amp. We also blend distortion from the effects loop using a Pro-Tone bass overdrive. In the rack case we also keep Harley's Roland TM2, which he uses for his kick drum samples. For in-ears we run really long headphone cables out from our ART Head Amp 6. We use this to blend our Behringer mixes with the click track feed. As for our in-ears, all of us except for Harley use Audio-Technica E40 in-ear monitors. On our laptop, we currently run our live sets on Cubase 8.5 out through our Tascam US 16x8 audio interface, and that is how we split our backing tracks from our click feed. Cubase also triggers our patch changes through our Mo2 Fastlane MIDI interface. And that is our rack in a nutshell. We love bringing this out on the road as our all-in-one solution. If you have any more questions, feel free to ask us at a show or hit us up online.
Right now, down to 5. I have a 6-piece kit, but I took one away because I like to have my ride closer, especially for the blast. It's more comfortable instead of kind of weird angles. And I have an electric kit at home, so I usually try to do a couple hours on that at least a night, just to keep my hands up to par.
This is my only non-LTD. This is my trade-in. That was like the first 5-string that I bought a few years ago when I was in college, and it plays well. It's light, but every show I'm rocking either this Surveyor. This is an LTD, a discontinued model. I have a F-Series LTD as well, and a B-Series. So we play in 2 different tunings, so I always need to have 2 basses for when we swap out. But ESP all the way, man.
This is actually the very first electric guitar that I have, and I've been using it for 9 years now. Nothing modified too much on this guitar. The only thing that's different is the fact that I have scalloped frets on frets 13 through 24. And that was just me experimenting with my guitar a bit, and also just wanting to see how scalloped frets would feel, and that it's definitely like the most improving feature of this guitar. And then this guy here is my 7-string. This is an Ibanez Prestige RG 1527, and this is a used guitar that I got from Guitar Center. Basically same thing, everything's virtually stock, but instead of the stock pickups, I have a Sabre Duncan, I think it's a 57 in the neck, and then 57 bridge JB neck. And then one thing I did to this as well is that instead of the standard trem block on the bridge, underneath this bridge I have a Floyd Upgrades brass tone block, and can't really see it too well, but it's like, if you can, it's like this giant brass block there, and that adds a lot of like lower resonance to the strings, and also shines up the highs as well. Another thing I also did to this guitar, I put like a little foam mute there to then all those resonances will hear. This one get picked up to kill all that. And that's my Ibanez for you.
Currently, I play both. I play only Music Man, actually. Ernie Ball Music Man guitars. I started playing them because actually one of my favorite bands of all time, the Human Abstract, right here, as you can see, their guitarists both use Ernie Ball guitars, and the reason I started playing them is because they're just, they play really well. They're no bullshit guitars, nothing fancy, no tricks, no fanned frets, no tempered frets, nothing, no bells and whistles, as I would say. I mean, the truth is I don't really need all that, and these guitars, they're very well built, and they have everything that I need. The one that I play currently, the JP16, is it's got a Floyd Rose on it, which I think is a great addition to the JP series of guitars, because they usually have their own the JP floating trim, but the Floyd Rose I feel like fits perfectly with it. I think that going digital in the realm of tech death can be very beneficial in terms of recording. There are a lot of things you can use with digital modelers, and as far as doing things like recording dry stems and things like that, everything's right there at your fingertips with, say, like Max FX or Pod XD Pro, Pod HD Pro. In terms of playing live, you have all your effects right there in that one unit, all accessible with one foot switch pedal, and everything's ready to go. Whereas if you were to go analog, you'd have to have a whole pedal board with everything. Well, I used to be very pro analog, and ever since I started playing the Line 6 pods, starting with the XT Pro, I've since become a fan of digital amp modeling, and so I really enjoy it. I think it's a huge benefit for the tech death scene in general. In my own playing, I find it very helpful to dial in the tone that I want and use the effects that I need, and have them all right there, and be able to download different effects patches and everything that I need online and everything.
It's essential. I mean, and it's something that if you're in a band that you want to extend your reach beyond just kind of friends, family, and like whoever you might meet at a local show, but really engage with a wider, more not just even regional, but like really a global audience, you have to be leveraging the power of social platforms. And there's so much to it too, to be consistent and provide relevant content on a regular basis. It's really hard, but it's essential if you want to get your music out there, build a brand name, and again, connect with fans or potential new fans across the world. And we've seen some really awesome results from some of the just even entry-level effort that we've given to it. People in Germany and Russia and England finding our music and writing to us. It really goes a long way. Once you get into it, it's like addicting. So yeah, it's very important.
Personal plugs. It's Byron Leon 1992 on virtually everything. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, YouTube.
I can't remember what my Instagram is. I'm pretty sure it's at Harley Drumming, or it's like Harley Drumming is my username, but I don't know what the is that.
You can follow me on Instagram, Ryan_McNatt, all lowercase, all one word.
Don't follow me. I don't want anyone. I don't need followers. I have like so many already. It's great. So just kidding. Please follow me. I am trying to get into doing more like bass playthroughs and shit. I need people to actually watch that stuff. So at Dan Saltz, that's your boy. And then obviously Enigma Metal, and like 17 other bands too. So if you just stalk my profile, you'll find them.
You can get it on Bandcamp. You can find it on iTunes, Spotify, Amazon Music. You can order a physical copy off Bandcamp or a digital download. We also have merchandise on the website. We have shirts for sale, and yeah, so that's where we can find all our
Awesome, man.
music. Cool.
Coming in.
Dude, thanks for having me, man. This is awesome.
Cool.
Any personal plugs?
Yeah, shouts out to fucking Memphis, Twin Cities, Lil B, Bass God. Keep it lit, fam.